The People Before Profit TD Paul Murphy is with us on the line as well. Paul, was this the right use of Garda resources?
I certainly don't think so. And I think there are big questions to be asked here about how Gardaí ended up effectively acting as private security for a bank and shutting down ATMs, refusing people access to ATMs in response to what was an error by the bank. We've obviously had a lot of stories in recent weeks about people waiting 5 minutes to get through to 999, people unable to get Gardaí for things that they need, and yet here we have a bank making a mistake by itself and seemingly to be able to then call on the Gardaí to protect it from its own mistake. And I mean, I obviously wasn't, across the country last night, but there are plenty of pictures of Gardaí in different locations guarding ATM machines, and it would be interesting to know just how many Gardaí were deployed to protect the Bank of Ireland from its own mistake.
Now, I should say that the guards have said in a statement, Paul, just in the past hour or two this morning, that they were not requested to be deployed last night by Bank of Ireland. They were deployed on a public order basis. These were decisions that were taken locally, I presume, by the different Garda districts. It wasn't a request from the bank.
Well, I find that hard to believe, to be honest, and I think we need to understand exactly what happened here. But it is clear that in many cases, it's not that the Gardaí were simply kind of monitoring and observing a large crowd and ensuring there were no public order instances, which I think that there weren't any, but that in many cases they actually prevented access of people to the ATM, told people that they couldn't use the ATM. I really don't see how the Gardaí would have taken it upon themselves to do that. I mean, there's no public order issue there whatsoever in terms of people accessing an ATM. Obviously, if they're able to get what was effectively an unauthorised overdraft, no doubt Bank of Ireland will be coming back looking for the money to recover that money. But I don't really see what role the Gardaí had in that. And I think it's very strange that all of a sudden you have Gardaí across the country deployed to effectively prevent people accessing ATMs.
So your question really is less for the bank and more for on Garda Síochána as to whether or not the decision to deploy what's effectively, Gardaí to a retail premises, and I suppose in many cases, is that how you describe? Like, is your query today or your criticism for the Gardaí or the banks?
Yeah, well, look, the bank has lots of criticism to take in the sense that they have a glitch in their app, in their system, which means that some people were able to get more money than they actually have in their account, and then others weren't able to access money that they did have in their account. I saw reports of people, not being able to pay for petrol after they put petrol in their car, their cars weren't working and so on. So the bank rightly will come in for criticism. We know that they're super, super profitable at this stage, and Bank of Ireland in particular. But I think there is a question here for the guards, what certainly looks like acting as private security for banks. We know that the Gardaí were very sensitive to criticism in the piece of art by Spice Bag, which portrayed Gardaí acting as kind of agents of private landlords. But here, after weeks of criticism of not having enough Gardaí on the streets and so on, then all of a sudden quite a few Gardaí can be found and dispatched at relatively short notice to ATM machines, and it does seem to me effectively functioning as private security for a bank.
Well, I think the line they used was that it was based on the assessment of public safety and public order. I mean, I take it they were concerned a row or something would break out.
Well, I don't really buy that, I have to say. And I think we need to hear from the Garda Commissioner about what happened here. We need to hear directly. If the Garda Commissioner wants to say, OK, there was no contact from Bank of Ireland to Gardaí at either a national or local level, OK. But we need to hear that, I think, from the Garda Commissioner, because the actions of the Gardaí were not the actions of a force that were concerned solely with issues of public order. Because if that was the case, they would not have closed off access to ATMs. That there was no public order issue in terms of people accessing ATMs. And as I understand, there were no public order incidents at any of the large queues which emerged or gathered.
Well, I haven't heard of any anyway yet. I'm sure we'll hear if there is. There'll be no doubt about that. But you want the Garda Commissioner, Drew Harris, to make a public statement on this today?
Yeah, I think we need to find out what happened here and how come, in this discussion about Garda resources in society that's been happening over the past number of weeks, now how come we're able to have these Garda resources effectively guarding ATM machines across the country.
OK, but we'll leave it there for the moment. People Before Profit TD